Thank you very much and welcome to another edition of MWC Short. I'm joined here by Kishore Raja, who is Vice President of Engineering Strategic Programs with Boingo Wireless. Welcome, Kishore.
Thanks, Karen.
So I want to dive into our conversation. You were due to take part in the session as part of the Industry X theme, focusing on different applications, different verticals and demos that were bringing Industry X to life. It's obviously a very exciting area. There's a lot going on. Can you tell us a bit about some of the applications that you're most excited about?
Yeah, absolutely. I think first thing I want to thank GSMA to actually creating this short video after the cancellation of the event. So it's good to take part in these events. So speaking about Industry X and the kind of applications that we see happening, especially in the wireless world, is basically all the applications you would see from a smartphone's perspective, augmented reality, virtual reality, IoT applications. And the key thing is, it's the networks that powering most of these devices and the applications on these devices. So what we actually focus on from an Industry X perspective would be artificial intelligence and machine learning on these networks. So when you apply the concept of AI to network operations and network infrastructure, that drastically improves the operational performance and the overall performance of these applications and the different types of devices connecting to the network.
Okay, so my second question for you, Kishore, would be around the future of AI and what do you see as the future for AI?
Yeah, thanks, Karen. So artificial intelligence, as I mentioned, is the key for what we do from a network perspective. So the way we look at AI and machine learning at Boingo Wireless is specifically in 4 stages. What we call as descriptive AI, predictive AI, prescriptive AI, and cognitive AI. So descriptive is the basic form of artificial intelligence where you should have the capability to describe the different elements in the network so you can react to changing conditions as well as triage any issues in the network. Then the second one is predictive AI, where once you start to see any issues or any problems, you can actually run predictions on the network and understand the issues beforehand before the customers see that. So this way we'll be well prepared to address those issues and in most cases try to fix those issues before the customers actually see that. The third one is prescriptive AI. So prescriptive takes a step further than predictive, wherein not only that it allows the network to make predictions, but it also automatically suggests solutions or prescriptions based on which the network can instantly react. So one of the example and analogy I want to use is when you use Google Maps for navigation. When you use the navigation feature to go from point A to point B, the maps always recommends you different routes and different options, saying that, hey, if you make a left at this junction, it's probably going to be 2 minutes slower. If you make a right, it's going to be 5 minutes slower. But in certain situations, let's say that the traffic is held up in your area, then it'll actually prescribe you to make a forceful route changes. So that is one of the best example I can think of when it comes to wireless networks, where we constantly are working hard to prescribe those solutions, create those solutions, and so the network can heal automatically. Last but not the least is cognitive AI, and this is where we want to get to that point. Boingo and most of the industry is not there yet. Our goal is to get to the concept of cognitive artificial intelligence, where the concept is once you deploy a wireless network, the network can be self-sufficient. It runs independently, fully autonomous. It can understand all different elements of the network as well as the conditions. And based on the historical data, it can automatically react to the changing conditions, adapt to whatever is going on with any seasonal changes, and we can completely be independent of the operations of the network. So that is where we would like to see go ahead. But at least from an AI perspective, we constantly focus to improve our networks and make them as seamless as possible for the end users to connect to.
Okay, great. So we've talked a bit about some of the use cases for AI, but let's talk about virtualization. Where does that fit in?
Yeah, so virtualization is something that's been in the industry for close to 10 years now, but it's shown tremendous amount of growth in the recent past, especially with the concept of network function virtualization and software-defined networks. It's allowing the networks to be deployed in a much quicker fashion, as well as maintain them going forward. So with the concept of NFV and SDN, number one, you can actually save a whole bunch of capital expenses. So because what ends up happening is when you deploy network components like gateways and routers and AAA functions and billing functions in commodity hardware, without having to buy specific hardware from individual vendors, that will allow you to reduce the overall capex of your deployment. That's number one. Number two is once you deploy these virtualized networks, you can actually maintain them using software. You can make upgrades and you can make changes. So your ongoing OPEX or operating expenses will see a significant savings, and you can react faster to the market. And if you look at a typical wireless network, you basically have three components. You have the core component, with all your wireless network element core like AAA and billing functions and all the evolved packet core functions. Then you have the IP management system, which is your IMS. And last but not least, is your radio access network, which is a RAN network. The good thing about 2020 is that every single aspect of the network has been virtualized. And we have virtualized IMS as well as EPC in our commercial networks. RAN is something that we've been very diligently working in the past couple of years to deploy the concept of virtual RAN in the infrastructure. So once that is completely virtualized, the entire end-to-end system is fully virtualized. And it's going to be a powerful system when it comes to managing the network, upgrading, making changes, monitoring, break fixing. So virtualization goes a long way in deploying these networks.
Great, thank you. And one last question that I want to ask you before we finish. There's a lot of talk around edge, cloud, and people asking, is edge the new cloud? So I'd love to get your take on that.
Yeah, that's actually a key question because many years back we started with the concept of moving the traditional data centers into public and private cloud infrastructure. So most companies do that, and Boingo is no exception. We have more than 90% of our services we've managed to move to a public cloud from the past at least 8 years. Now, what's happening is the concept of getting reversed. So when it comes to latency sensitive and bandwidth hungry applications, you need the computing power as well as the content at the edge. So the reverse is happening now. So there is this concept of bare metal cloud. So you can replicate your entire cloud infrastructure down to your edge in your venue. So for applications like augmented reality and virtual reality, you have the computing power to make those computations right at the edge, as well as you have the content that you can serve at the edge. So a latency won't be an issue anymore. And especially for applications like these are applications that prefer to have a low latency network. That is where having everything on the edge is going to go a long way. And lastly, but not the least, is if you look at 3GPP specifications, one of the main applications in the latest release driving 5G specifications would be MEC, which is mobile edge computing. So the concept of having an edge computing as well as content infrastructure available when needed right at the time of the request is going to be very key. And you would see that increasingly in the different set of applications that you would start to see in the 5G infrastructure.
Excellent. Thank you so much. That's all we have time for this short, but thank you so much, Kishore, for joining us and for talking through the different topics and being part of this MWC short. Thank you.
Thanks, Karen. Thank you very much.